So folks on Zoom, we're still waiting for folks to come in, but we decided to let you see what's happening. So welcome to the party.
Well, we're now probably, I don't know, 4 or 5 or 4. Yeah. Right.
You're okay, but if you feel like.
So this is constantly going, I guess.
So you just stand up there and speak. Is there a mic?
Wow.
There is a mic if you wanna. It's okay. Walk around. But I think the owl picks up. Oh, yeah.
How are we doing this?
So you're set.
Everything's on the screen?
Yes.
Am I in charge of my own screen?
Yes.
Beautiful. I already designed it, but
It's
really nice.
Amanda, this doesn't work.
It wasn't when I was trying it. I would just use the arrows in the computer.
Yes.
Just I think it's better. Just it's working.
So that's not fair.
You commented on that.
If it's been a while,
It might have just, like been just.
I'll never do that. That won't work. So Rob's doing the treasure. Then he's coming to me. And I come over to. Okay.
Then you do the 2 awards and then you get to that.
Okay. Right.
Oh, she's working. No, she's working. But she is.
Yes, there's also.
And this is the whole investment.
Yeah.
So some sort of
But I was just gonna say.
No, I don't. You were next.
Oh, yeah.
And then I went Or I'm gonna take your wine away.
Are you speaking?
I'm not gonna say anything. Because if I do, it'll be the wrong thing. Lindsay, she's running this whole show from her laptop. Do you think I should?
No.
Do you think I should tell her about the overhead projectors we used to use? The last time I used one, Russell was giving a talk, Russell DeConte, and he was putting the slides on upside down, backwards, you know. I said, this is the last time. We're going to PowerPoint. It's a new thing.
How are you?
How are you?
Good.
How are you?
I know, fun. Fun, fun.
You have the
I do this to
artist. Yes, if you're not-
I work at Amanda. My name's Amanda. I'm not. actually.
Okay.
She was.
Through the ballpark. I was-
I gotta do a little sound check here. Can you raise your hand in the back of the room if you can hear me? Okay, great. I think I need to use the microphone. Welcome to the annual meeting of the membership of the Barnstable Land Trust. So glad to see you all in person. We also have a bunch of folks via Zoom. And just, I know we're still in COVID mode a little bit. So when you are, when this part of the meeting's over and you're downstairs, feel free to go sit outside under the tent or on the porch, spread out in the library if you'd like to. I'm Janet Milkman. For those of you who haven't met me yet, I'm the executive director of the Barnstable Land Trust. Our agenda is the usual. We'll have a financial report. We will have some mission updates, some voting for board members and officers. And if you have questions, you are welcome to ask at any time. So it's a little hard to do for the Zoom folks. I'm going to ask you on Zoom to put your questions in chat if you have any. And for the voting also, remember, only members can vote. You're all members. Voting on Zoom is also via the chat. So, so members on Zoom, if you have an issue that you need addressed, just put it in the chat. Thanks so much to Cindy Cotton, who's executive director of the Osterville Village Library, and her staff for hosting us, and for their wonderful experience Osterville guide. If you haven't seen it, it's got a great cover photo and story about Little Parker's Pond, which is on BLT property just down the road. And let me just ask board members of Barnstable Land Trust to raise their hands so you know who they are. Okay. And staff members, raise your hand. Okay. Actually, there's a lot more of them. They're hiding somewhere. They're down maybe with the alcohol. Thank you very much to our volunteers who helped out tonight. Wendy Barker, Carol Carter, who I know had to leave already, Polly, Dana Schumacher, and Nancy Ridley. Thanks so much for this and all you do for us. And maybe if you are a current volunteer for Barnstable Land Trust, raise your hand. So there are a lot of you, and none of this happens without you. So know that you are really, really well appreciated. There's a couple chairs up here still that really would love you. I'm going to go on for a long time, so have a seat. Lindsay looks scared. Okay, so I think I have done the housekeeping and logistics. There's bathrooms up here and downstairs if you need them. And I think we're just going to go ahead and I'll turn it over to Joe Hawley, who's going to do the nominating report. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, Joe. I'm going to turn it over to Rod Carey to do the finance report.
I'm sure this is the most exciting.
I want to be treasurer, so I go first.
I'm sorry. I don't know.
Okay, can everybody hear me? Or do you need this? Okay. The most exciting one goes first. So I've already changed it. Somebody is telling me to quit. So as Janet was saying, I'm Rob Carey. I'm filling in for Deb Ruhlman, who is our treasurer this year. I was the most recent past treasurer. I will be very brief with what my comments are here. I would say overall 2021 was a very busy year. We had, although it felt very busy in terms of projects, it does show that there are 0 projects closed in 2021, but that's because we have a huge backlog of them to close in 2022 and 2023 for it. So we're anticipating anywhere between 4 and 7 projects to close this year. And a lot of the delays were not on BLT, they were really on the state board. So we've been very active on that side, as well as memberships in 2021 were a huge increase. We had 150 new members last year. That's a big thanks to Jane Harvey, which I saw in the room earlier, so thank you very much. Unfortunately, Jane did retire, so we're not sure that we're going to see that same level of increase this year, but we still do expect a healthy increase. Overall, when I look at the 2021 numbers, I kind of look at them compared to the budget. What did we do at the beginning of the year and what did we end up doing for it? And the positive takeaway here was we beat revenues on our projections by over 16%, and we're just slightly over budget by 2%. As a banker, whenever I look at these type of things, the thing that I want to know is what can we control, and costs are a big one. And I think this group does a very good job of doing it. For 2022, this isn't on your slide, but I think it's pertinent to hear since we're halfway through the year at this point. Based on the numbers that we have now, this is through May, we are ahead of budget on the revenue side, and we're in line with our expenses. So we're starting 22 off with a very good year as well. And overall, if you look at the balance sheet, we have no debt, no leverage from that standpoint. We've got over $700,000 in cash in the bank. If you back out the cash for land acquisitions, we have like $130,000 for it, which equates to over 3 months of expenses if we had no revenues coming in. So what I'm trying to say here is the business is set up in a sense, or the organization is set up in a sense that has a long-term sustainability, and that's what's most important for it. So open up for any questions anyone has, but I'm sure nobody wants to hear any more about it. Treasurer and the finance committee. All right, well, thank you. There's some questions in the chat. Oh,
Yeah, those are covered.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right, Joe Hawley.
Oh, now I
you're
can
up.
go. Oh, okay. All right. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yeah.
That's good, because if I can pick up that mic, I'll probably be up here a while. Careful. Okay. My name is Joe Hawley, and I am the chair of the nominating committee, and I'm here to accomplish 3 things. One is, the first thing we're going to do is vote we need a vote by the membership to elect to a 3-year term expiring at the annual membership meeting in 2025, the following board members: Rob Carey, Karen Hanesian, Deb Ruman, and at this point, I want to introduce our new board member, Toby Collins. You can stand up, please, Toby, so everyone can get a good look at you. All right.
Meet everybody.
So there's a really nice bio, also known as a rap sheet in the program on Toby, but she's very impressive lady who has a tremendous amount of international experience, and we probably should talk to Bob Callahan because he was a former ambassador, so we could probably share some good war stories. But Toby and her husband recently bought a house in Centerville, and Toby's folks are here. They're longtime Cape residents and supporters, as is Toby, her husband of BLT. So we're very happy to be presenting you for a vote tonight. So, and also to be elected to a 1-year term, Wendy Barker and Joseph Hawley. So I think at this point we can call for a motion to accept these nominations and then follow up with a quick vote. Second, and all in favor of the slate as presented?
Aye.
This is a great job. Never lost a vote. Okay, now, for your information, directors continuing till the meeting in 2023, Robert Callahan, Karen Daly, Justine Laharn, Beth Otis, and Lee Towns. And continuing to the annual membership meeting in 2024, Ben Canavan and John Curtis. Okay, so now we go to vote 2. And we have a following slate of officers of Barnstable Land Trust to be elected to a 1-year term expiring at the annual membership meeting in 2023. So we're proposing as president Lee Towns, vice president Karen Daly, treasurer Deb Roman, and clerk Justine Laharn. So that is your slate of proposed officers, and we'd like to put this to the membership for a second proposal and second. Okay, got that? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Wow, did it again. Great job. And finally, the nominating committee, which according to the bylaws, needs to be reelected, reappointed every year. And we have Joe Hawley as chair. Other members are Carol Carter, Karen Daly, Karen Hanesian, Stacy Reinhardt, and John Curtis. And at this committee, Lee Towns would act in an ex officio capacity as with Janet Milton. So I would like to propose this slate for second. Bob, great job. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. We are losing a board member, Stacy Reinhardt, who has been on and off the board a few times. She's almost like a utility board member. She's been on and off many times, but she's done a great job. She's got a tremendous amount of experience in governance issues, and she's just a great person and a very significant supporter of Barnstable Land Trust. And as a former president, I can tell you, I really appreciated her input along the way. She's been terrific. So, and I have an envelope with maybe nothing in it, maybe something, but she's not here, so don't tell her about it. Okay. All right, that's it. And now I'd like to ask our new president, Lee Towns, to please come forward and say a few words. Thanks, Lee.
Well, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. I'm Lee Towns, and I am very proud to be a Barnstable Land Trust volunteer, a member, a committee member, a board member, and now the new president of the Barnstable Land Trust. So thank you for your support. This group has been dedicated to preserving land in the town of Barnstable for many years, and with a change in our bylaws last year, we extended that mission to other surrounding towns as needed. This is an organization whose mission has remained focused on acquiring and protecting land from development for nearly 4 decades. Yet it has changed with the times, as any successful organization must. Because of the incredible strengths, talents, and passion of Janet, our executive director, and her staff, the land steward volunteers, the AmeriCorps and TerraCorps members who have supported us through the years, of members and donors like yourselves, the BLT has evolved into an extremely dynamic group with significant community outreach and engagement. We have a very strong board that has a lot of energy and new ideas that works well together and is very supportive of Janet and the rest of her staff. Because of this, BLT's impact has been significant and our mission more visible. We're committed to keeping the organization growing and healthy. We have sponsored some wonderful programs in the last year, including breaking ground recently for the building of a beautiful barn by a Mennonite family from Lancaster, Pennsylvania at Fuller Farm that will be used to house land steward equipment and also will have a room for community engagement activities. We have taken a position on the development of Twin Brooks Golf Course, working with town committees and the public to encourage a different plan than what the developer was suggesting. We are in favor of both community housing and also preservation of the land. We have stepped up youth engagement with our high schools. We've provided areas for Eagle projects, and indeed one was completed just this spring at Eagle Pond. We've also engaged with the local poet community with our Words in the Wild campaign. And if you go around to the different BLT properties, I'm sure you'll notice many of the little plaques that have the poems written. Also, if you have never taken a walk with Gil Newton to Crocker Neck, put it on your must-do list. It's really impressive, and I guarantee you'll learn a lot. Over the past 2 years, as Janet has said, membership has grown and giving has expanded. We had an unexpectedly positive outcome from the COVID pandemic, where we found that people wanted to get out on our land, so it was used a lot more. We are focusing on prioritizing acquisition of remaining valuable properties and applying for grants that will ease land purchase and conservation restriction costs. This is a great time for BLT. As members, I encourage you to keep track of what BLT is doing, participate in our walks and talks and our other activities, volunteer more, and use the land. Enjoy this evening. I challenge each of you to meet a member that you haven't spoken with before and enjoy each other. Thank you very much for your support.
Okay, before I get into the mission updates, who was here at the beginning of Barnstable Land Trust? Maybe I shouldn't say how old the organization is. But raise your hand if you were here at the beginning. Come on, Jack. Yes, you were. Yes, you were. Almost. Oh, you're ruining my point. My point was, I just wanted to say that all our successes stands on your shoulders. So thank you. Thank you for all of that. So everyone understands our primary work is land conservation. But our context in which we work changes over time, as Lee said. So now with the price of land higher than it's been in forever, and the pressure on the land from development as strong as it's been since the 80s probably, we have to think about beyond the individual land transactions. So how do we protect water quality, wetlands, the remaining open spaces? How much development is enough and where and what kind? How do we do both conservation and open space, maybe our two most pressing needs that we face on our peninsula? What happens to the remaining recreational and unprotected green space like bogs and farms and camps? How does climate change affect the carrying capacity of our peninsula and our ability to adapt? How do we ensure that open spaces are accessible to all? And how do we keep engaging people outside and on our properties? So these small questions are what we are trying to sort of execute on day to day. And I'm just going to talk a little bit about some highlights of what we're doing. So I'm going to start with land stewardship because when we acquire land or we are given a conservation restriction on land, this is a long-term relationship. It is a long-term commitment. So all of our properties that we acquire, we protect in perpetuity. That means that we have to maintain them in perpetuity. So what this means on a day-to-day basis is that on any given day, we have a staff person and or one of our many volunteers, some of you who are in this room, out on our properties, working on them, assessing them, maintaining them. On any given week, we'll have a big project. We'll have a bunch of volunteers together. Any given month, we'll have 20 or 30 AmeriCorps service members and volunteers together working on our properties. This is a all day, every day job. And thanks to Kelly Barber's leadership and the fact that we have a TerraCorps and AmeriCorps service member this year and Lee Town's leadership on our land stewardship committee, we have really increased our capacity to do this work, which is fantastic. I wasn't done. Let's see. I just want to highlight one parcel nearby since we're in Osterville. So those of you who are local will know that we have a beautiful property on East Bay Road called Banfield Meadow. And that on that property is Little Parker's Pond, which has been until recently about 3 inches of water because it is the end point of a lot of runoff from the town of Osterville, 2-mile radius area. And also because a while ago, a very small culvert was put in the bridge over the pond. And so a few years ago, our neighbors across the pond, the Shaw family, decided to invest in a project that had been on the town's agenda for a long time, but never got funded, which was to dredge the pond, to enlarge the culvert, to remove all the invasive species around the entire pond, including the BLT parcel, and to replace it all with native species. And as a result, what we can look forward to is a beautiful tidal salt pond in the coming years. So that's a huge project, and we're really grateful for the support of the Shaw family. Couldn't be here tonight, but have made a really huge investment in the community. Let's see. Our latest effort is to try and make one of our signature properties, Eagle Pond, cleaner, healthier, and safer for all by starting an effort to get folks to pick up their dog waste and to keep their dogs on leash. We are now in a better position to do that. It's not like this is a new problem. It's been an issue for probably decades, but we have staff and volunteers now in a position to do a little more regular monitoring. And we're also putting up some more signs, communicating through meetings. We would love your help. It doesn't involve picking up dog waste, but just sort of being ambassadors for Barnstable Land Trust. Anyone interested, let us know. Fuller Farm, you heard a little bit about from Lee. This is a project that Jackie accomplished about 10 years ago. And it's a 22-acre farm on Route 149. one of our most beautiful properties. And I remember Jackie telling me in the early days, when I first started, that Barbara Fuller, who sold it to Barnstable Land Trust, never wanted to see it developed. She felt like people don't know where their food comes from anymore. She really wanted to see it stay as a farm rather than an 11-lot subdivision. So we are now trying to put that vision into reality. We have a partnership with Resilient Roots, which is a wonderful nonprofit working on permaculture. They have almost an acre of garden, and they do education and workshops there. We have a partnership with Goat Green Cape Cod, which so we house the goats when they're not out working, eating people's poison ivy. And we have put up a new kiosk and trail signs, and we are, as Lee said, building a barn. We hope to see that happen this summer, and we're making really good progress on that. And the barn is going to house all of our stewardship equipment. So the long and rambling talking I did about land stewardship, that all requires equipment. And right now we have this tiny little shed behind our office and no place to really maintain it. So the bottom of the barn is going to be that garage, and then the top is going to be for workshops and education and events. Maybe we'll meet there next year for our annual meeting. We have a really exciting land project in the works, which is the last piece of a decades-long effort working with the Brazelton family and their family before them to protect what used to be a 100-acre farm. So we are now going to conserve the last 3 lots. We're going to buy 1 lot, the lot on Commerce Road, and then the family's donating 2 conservation restrictions on the other 2 lots. And this will protect an incredibly valued view by the hundreds of people who walk and run by there on a daily basis. It's an incredibly important and one of the few remaining native blue stem fields, and also a view to Barnstable Harbor and Sandy Neck. And we have started our campaign. We're well along in the fundraising process. We have about $150,000 left to raise. And if you want to hear more about that or visit the property, see me afterwards. Hope to get that done by the end of the year. We have a lot of other projects in the works, as Rob said. A really beautiful 20-acre parcel in Centerville that has a boardwalk and a boardwalk leading to a lovely beach leaf island. And our goal with that, hopefully when we close later this year, is to connect it through town land to the Centerville Elementary School and make it our first all-access trail. So that's our vision. We hope to be able to tell you more about that. And lots of other priority projects that we have begun with the help of a new part-time staff person, Kelly Brandt, who's also working with Mark and 2 other land trusts, to do more outreach to landowners, to make sure that given the attractiveness of selling your land right now, that we are an option on the table, that conservation is an option on the table. And we're also seeing a lot of Chapter 61 lands coming on the market. These are lands that are now used for some agricultural purpose, whether it's forestry or blueberries or cranberries, or golf courses. This is the Twin Brooks Golf Course, which is actually not a Chapter 61 property, but we have gotten involved in that project because the proposed development is the largest housing development on Cape Cod, and the property is one of the largest remaining open spaces in a very underserved village for open space. So we've done a lot of work on this, trying to present alternative options that would provide both housing and open space, but preserve more of the open space. And that regulatory process is still ongoing. In fact, as we speak, Cape Cod Commission is meeting on this, having their 5th, I believe, meeting on this project. I think it's a too big, and a smaller, smarter development is possible there, but there is a very long road to hoe before we can imagine progress there right now as it stands, unfortunately. We also have produced, and I hope you've all seen these trail guides. And this was the idea of one of our members. And so this is an example of how we take your ideas and make them happen. Now, this one was an incredibly generous member who actually also funded the project. She said, hey, I think it would be a great idea to have a trail guide. Would you like to do that? We said yes. And our first trail guide, the Barnstable Trail Guide, which has trails from the town, from all nonprofit organizations, 94 miles of trails. That is actually almost, we've almost run out of our 10,000 printing stock. So we're going to reprint it. We've also just produced a map for the Cape Cod Pathways, the Barnstable section of that goes all the way along the north side from Sandwich to Yarmouth, just about. And then hot off the press is our Eagle Pond and Little River Sanctuary map and historic guide. And thanks to everyone in the room who helped put that together. You've probably seen a lot more programs. I think we've doubled our number of programs since Sue Dowling-Sullivan came on board. She's not in the room here, but also made some great new partnerships with arts organizations and music organizations. We had a wonderful partnership with Lauren Wolk and Bob Nash, who I think might be here. Words in the Wild project, where they found 4 incredible poets, a couple of which I think are here, who wrote poems in 4 areas. So Ropes Field, Eagle Pond, Fuller Farm, and behind our office. And then using an incredibly interesting technology, etched them on wooden blocks, which are now in those 4 areas. It's a really beautiful experience to read those. So we're doing a lot of fun, new engaging things, working with new partners, and looking in any way we can to connect new audiences to our properties. We're also trying to increase our organizational capacity to do all of the work that we need to do to try and meet the needs of our community, to try and save the land that needs to be protected. And try and get people who aren't used to being outside to come outside. So I think that's it for me. Any questions on our work before we move on to the fun part? Yes.
With respect to Twin Books, what I'm reading is it's almost a fait accompli. You know, if they meet all restrictions and zoning stuff, I mean, they have the money, they have the cash, all they need to do is sign. What strategy, what tactics are you going to use to try to reverse that or modify it?
So if you didn't hear the question, he said he felt that the project was a fait accompli. And I think maybe you're talking about the process at the commission level, which may be true because the staff report is very supportive of the project. And he asked, what's our strategy then? And it's a great question because I think the commission meetings have been very disappointing. We haven't seen a lot of questions from commission members. That still may happen. I hope it does happen. Groups like Save Twin Brooks and ours have raised a lot of questions that haven't been answered. So, you know, it still could face some conditions placed on the project by the Cape Cod Commission. But if that doesn't happen, then our strategy really is to focus on the town council and to make sure that they understand how many of their constituents feel that this project is too big and needs to be rethought. And I think there is opportunity for a grassroots effort to be very effective there.
What's the timeline?
The timeline is a bit uncertain. So the commission meetings, I think they're on their 5th meeting. They'll have at least one more at the subcommittee level, and then they'll have to have at least one at the full commission. So I'm guessing that's at least a couple months. And then it goes back to the town and anybody's guess. So it has to go to the planning board, has to go to council. There will be a special town meeting on it. And so, you know, it could be 6 months, it could be a year. I do think that time is on our side in some ways if it takes longer, because construction costs have gone up so much and interest rates are going up, and the project as proposed is getting more expensive every minute. So yeah.
Fuller Farm, I've been watching and waiting, and is there a timeline on that?
Yeah, so I
When the
hope
barn
this
goes up.
fall, we'll be able to invite you on there. Yeah, yeah, so the foundation's been put in, the steel beams are in, the septics are in, and gonna have an alternative septic there. We're gonna have solar panels on the roof. It's gonna be really great. It's gonna actually power our office, even though the panels are on the barn, and an electric charging station. So yeah, coming soon. Yeah. All right, the moment you've all been waiting for. Lee, will you do the honors for the founders report?
So I'm very pleased tonight to offer the Barnstable Land Trust Founders Award to Scott Horsley. And Scott, if you could please stand up, and we'll have you come up later. So congratulations. So Scott grew up in a small rural Massachusetts town called Dudley. Surrounded by fields and forests, he loved the outdoors. He came to the Cape for the summers and learned to sail here, and developed a fascination with water. His extensive study in marine and environmental affairs, coastal management, landed Scott a job with Barnstable County's Health Department, and later the Cape Cod Planning and Economic Development Commission, which is now the Cape Cod Commission. In the public eye, water quality planning, wastewater management, and coastal water quality were emerging concepts and helped guide Barnstable Land Trust and the town of Barnstable in their land protection strategies. After a stint with county government, Scott shifted to the private sector, working with IDP, which is one of the first consulting firms on Cape Cod. In 1988, Scott and a colleague, John Whitten, formed Horsley and Whitten, a firm focused on land use and planning that helped communities to become more forward thinking. For over 30 years, Scott guided communities through the US in their quest to protect public health and quality of life. In 2019, he retired from Horsley and Whitten and began to assist Barnstable County with an update to the Cape Cod area-wide water quality management plan, which is part of EPA's Clean Water Act. His work with Barnstable County continues. He continues to teach at Tufts and is currently assisting Wellfleet, Truro, and Barnstable on their wastewater and nutrient management programs to protect shellfish in our coastal waters. Thank you, Scott, for educating the next generation, empowering citizens, and leading the way. Congratulations on your receipt of this. Yes, you can say one word.
First of all, I want to say that I do own more than one shirt. And I do want to say that, I've had a great career. I'm still working quite a bit, maybe a little bit too much. But my career, I think the part that really made a big difference was working with the Cape Cod Planning and Economic Development Commission before Armando took it over and changed the name to the Cape Cod Commission, which was great. That was a wonderful time. We did some exciting things. And I have to say, not only were we on a mission to change things, but we also had a conspiracy going. We had a connection with this guy, Dana Hornick, registered, who helped us on the public education side of the newspapers, which was great, tremendous contribution. I do want to call out Mark Robinson, who I think most people know, and Tom Cambereri here, who I think most people know. They were working with me at the Cape Cod Commission at the time. And the one claim to fame that you didn't get in the biography, but not because Jackie didn't get it, is three of us get to name the 6 Cape Cod lenses, the groundwater lenses. The Sagamore, the, help me out here, the Monomoy, the Jaquesset, the Pilgrim, Hammett lenses. If you get to see that, we had the wonderful opportunity to actually put names to these wonderful environmental resources. So thank you. I just wanted to say that. Thank you very much.
And next, it's my pleasure to give the President's Award to Peter Palmetti. And Peter, if you just stand for a minute, so you know who you are. So Peter is a designer and builder of homes. He initially worked in his native state of Ohio, but then moved to the Cape in 1988. He oversaw the design and construction of residential homes in the Ridge Club in South Sandwich and led many historic renovations, restorations, and additions in Katuitt. He and his wife Pam have lived in Katuitt near Eagle Pond Sanctuary since 1994 and have been members of the Land Trust since 2001. When VLT bought our current office, the former home and jewelry store needed a lot of renovation. Peter developed a renovation plan and helped execute it at every step of the way, calling on contractors he had worked with during his many years as a builder. Peter's plan was exactly what VLT needed. It was budget conscious and an approach. It was a budget conscious approach and a comfortable, clean, and efficient use of the space. The building now functions perfectly to house many meetings and workshops, and it's a bright and comfortable environment for the VLT staff and volunteers to work in. Before the office work was complete, VLT called on Peter again to help design and build our new barn at Fuller Farm. Peter used his experience from leading the construction of the post and beam barn at Bad Martha's in Falmouth when he designed the Michael R. Kramer Center at Fuller Farm. Peter will bring the same family that built Bad Martha's to work on the barn at Fuller Farm this summer. And I think we are hoping for an end of July start. We'll see. Peter has contributed numerous hours managing contractors and overseeing all elements of the construction process. With his skills, knowledge, and relationships, Peter made these projects much quicker, less expensive, and took an enormous burden off staff and other volunteers. Barnstable Land Trust recognizes Peter Palmetti's exceptional contributions with this President's Award in 2022. So congratulations, Peter.
Thank you.
All right, Joe, you're up next.
Okay. Yeah. For this recognition, I'm going to ask Jane Harvey to come up here because I've been thinking about this for a few days. And, it might be my last chance to really try to embarrass her publicly. She comes. So tonight we want to celebrate the work of Jane Harvey, our Director of Development, who retired in the end of May this year.
Beginning of May.
Okay, beginning of May. Jane's first tour with the Land Trust was about 15 years ago, where she created many close ties with the members and donors and did a heck of a job for us for a few years, five or more years, I think. She left us for a few years and did similar work for the Harvey Trust, another great organization in Lower Cape. Jane came back to Barnesville Land Trust in 2017. She faced some immediate challenges. I'm not going to quiz you, I'll tell you later.
Okay.
One, help the organization implement its vision to become a bigger part of the community. And two, help our new executive director at the time, Janet Milkman, get to know and be known within our community. Needless to say, she was a great success at both those challenges. And her first actual fundraising challenge came from the BLT board's decision to buy our new office, which was an older building on 6A in West Barnstable. Jane was tasked with leading the charge and raised the money to fund the purchase and also cover all the renovations, while at the same time raising support on an annual basis to support our operating budget. Jane met these challenges, as she always does, with 100% success. And I'm telling you, it was really, really impressive, especially funding the building purchase. I was president at the time, and I lost the rest of my hair that year. Each year since has brought a new campaign, either for land acquisition, and most recently to pay for the new barn at Fuller Farm, which she also covered that. Amazing. She made it all happen through clear vision, hard work, and effective relationship building skills. She also brought on volunteers to help start a successful new member program that has doubled the number of new members each year, which really is hard to do, believe me. We've worked at this for many years, and she got the formula going. She also led the effort to update and upgrade our system to provide much greater efficiency. And most importantly, she has become an important professional advisor to Janet Milkman. Jane helped Janet establish her own relationships with our membership base and throughout the Barnstable community, to the point now where Janet is, I dare say, as well known in the Barnstable community as you are. And I'm proud to say that, actually. Jane is a unique individual, as she is a true professional and also truly a fine person. I think just choked up. She displays great empathy, connects with people on a personal level, which helps her establish close relationships with our donors who have great confidence in her. This is all true. She's a terrific listener and subscribes to the old adage that God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth because we're supposed to listen twice as much as we talk. Jane is a fun person to know with a great laugh and sense of humor. I can only say she's been a treasured asset of BLT since day one, and we've been fortunate to have her on our team. So please join me in a round of applause for Jane. Didn't scramble, but I guess we came up with this.
It's excellent.
Yeah,
It's excellent.
great job, Jane. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody.
Leah, thanks for coming back. to me.
So that pretty much wraps up our meeting. It's only 6:23 and we have more hors d'oeuvres downstairs and wine. So we welcome you to go down and enjoy that, meet some more people. I also want to thank, once again, Wendy Barker, Carol Carter, and Sue Sullivan and Chloe for their help with this meeting tonight. Please take some of the maps if you aren't familiar with them and check out some new trails. Thank you very much again.
Well, nice to meet you. What do you think?
So